Objectives and key results, OKRs, with examples. Hey, my name is Audunsson, and in this video I'm going to explain objectives and key results, and I'm going to do so with some specific examples as well, which I'll walk you through. Now, objectives and key results are really like goal setting in a scientific, streamlined, structured way that enables you to really measure progress towards those goals and really work with a team to accomplish common objectives for the business. And this is a fantastic framework for actually setting goals and objectives and accomplishing them and actually monitoring your progress in sort of a scientific way towards achieving those outcomes. Now, I'm going to show you the way I use objectives and key results in my business. There's some variations to how you can set this up, but this is what has really worked well for me. And I've run online businesses for the past 8 years, so I'm using this for an online e-commerce business specifically. So I'm going to really explain, what objectives and key results are. I'm going to show you the steps to set them up, and I'm going to really give you a clear example as well. And then at the end, so make sure you stick around until the end of the video, after you've been through this sort of crash course on objectives and key results, OKRs, I'm going to actually give you the specific tracker, the template that we built and we use in our business to actually put this into practice. So I'm going to give that to you at the end of the video 100% for free. So you really will have everything to actually put this into practice and implement it into your business right away. So very exciting, and I've already shown many of my clients how to do this now successfully as well, and they've gone through this process and it's been a dramatic improvement for them and their teams, their business. So you're in for a treat, and I'm really excited to show this to you. So let's get started. So to begin with, what are objectives and key results? You might already know, so I'm just going to give you like a quick nuts and bolts explanation of what OKRs are. So whether or not you've learned about them before, you will be really clear on that now, what they actually are. And then obviously the example is really going to illustrate. So again, make sure you watch the entire video to really get a full understanding of how to actually use OKRs properly, how to write them, how to manage them, how to track them, how to work with a team, with OKRs and everything. I'm going to show you everything that really matters here. So first thing is you use OKRs to build the business. So unlike KPIs, which I've also explained in another video, you might have seen it, the KPIs are really for monitoring and measuring ongoing performance in the business. The OKRs, the objectives and key results, are really about goal setting and projects and building things, accomplishing new things in the business or growing the business, not just monitoring like ongoing performance. It's not about that. It's about, again, it's like a goal setting framework, but it's really much more than goal setting. If there is such a thing, then this is definitely goal setting done right, because you can set goals and it's kind of useless, but this is how to really do it properly and get results with it. So yeah, OKRs are used to build the business. The next point is they're also used to measure and monitor progress on projects objectively, right? So we use OKRs to set the goals, the projects, define them, but we also use them then to measure and monitor the progress being made on those projects objectively. So scientifically, through data, irrefutable numbers. If you've got a team, there's no arguing about the facts. They are what they are. So we make sure we design these so that they are 100% objective, and again, they are what they are, and so there's no room for error really in the progress you've made. You know exactly what it is. Hard fact. So that's important. The third point here is that we really use objectives and key results to focus ourselves and or our team on what's most important right now for the business, or this year, this quarter, and then we use it to keep them accountable. So keep yourself or the team accountable. Now this is important because with a lot of goal setting, it's kind of open-ended. You can set a lot of goals and things, but objectives and key results, one thing I really like about this method is that it kind of constrains you in a good way within certain limits in terms of what you set as your targets and things. And the reason this is good is because it makes sure that you're focused and that you're prioritizing things. You can't have too many objectives and key results. If you do, then you're doing it incorrectly, right? So the real trick here is to really like find what is the actual priority and then put that into as simple of terms as possible, clear, objective, data-driven terms that again are irrefutable. So you really boil down, to the core, the fundamental, the thing that really matters, and then you align your efforts and your team's efforts on that path. And so it really helps you align everyone and focus your efforts, which is obviously absolutely vital to be able to make great progress on those few things you decide to focus on. And then you're measuring that progress. You know exactly, if it's how much progress you're making and if that's good or bad. So that's sort of objectives and key results in a nutshell. Now, again, I think the step-by-step and the example is really going to help explain it. And then I've, again, got the free tracker tool for you with some extra training as well on how to use that here at the end. So that's going to give you everything you need. Now, the steps to set it up, let's go through those now. So number one, the first step always, obviously this is not as much the case when you're doing it for the first time ever, but usually, and this is a big important part of this process, this system, is to actually start by reviewing the previous quarter or year. So with objectives and key results, we set them at the end of a year, we set them for the following year. So we have objectives and key results for the year, right, that you're starting. And then within that year, you set objectives and key results for each quarter as well. So 4 times during the year. And if you're doing it properly, then what should happen when you complete all the quarterly objectives and key results is that you accomplish the yearly objectives and key results, right? So it's linked together. And this is why, before you plan the quarter, before you plan the year, you want to go back and review the previous year or the previous quarter and actually review it from the lens of your OKR. So you can look at the OKRs, you can look at the exact progress you made on each one, where you stand, and this will give you the data, the information you need to really then set new OKRs for the next year or the next quarter. Obviously, you're looking at other things as well, but at least you must know what happened the previous quarter, the previous year, to be able to continue, take the next step forward, so to speak. So that's important, right? So you start by doing that. And then what you do is, step number 2 is you move any incomplete OKRs over, right? So if you just finished the year, let's say, and you have some OKRs that got completed or almost completed, but then you've got some that weren't completed. You maybe made it 50% of the way there or less. Now, you might not want to just, stop there and just let it go. This is something that might still be important for you to achieve. So in that case, what you do is you move that over into the following year. You might adjust it a bit and maybe add something to it, maybe remove something, or just, you've learned something so that you will set it a bit differently. But the same sort of objective will follow, will continue. You will continue to work on it until you actually get it done, right? So that's very common because with OKRs, you don't always accomplish everything at 100%. And in fact, it's like I'll show you, if you accomplish all of your OKRs at 100%, you haven't set them high enough. Like, you're not being ambitious enough. Then you're leaving potential on the table. You're not pushing yourself or the team as much as you should to get the most out of you or the team, right? So I'll explain here with an example. So now let's go into the example. So step number 3 is to write 1 to 5 objectives for the quarter or the year, or both if you're starting a new year, right? So let's look at OKRs now and I'll show you what this looks like. So here are two OKRs, right? So this is OKR 1, this is OKR 2. And the first thing, the O here, this means objective, right? So it's the O in objective. And the KR is key result, right? So objective, key result. And for a business, you will set like 1 to 5 OKRs. In this case, I'm showing you 2 as an example. And then underneath each objective, you set 1 to 5 key results. And I'll explain a bit more about how to do that here in just a moment. But now we're talking about the objective, right? So we're going to write 1 to 5 objectives for the quarter and the year. So let's start with the objective. So the objective, this is really like the what. What are you going to do? What do you want to accomplish? And this is not granular to the point of having like the actual data and numbers by which you measure your progress. This is just high level, one sentence, usually like a motivational objective, right? So for example, in this case, our objective is to become the best-selling brand in our niche on Audunsson.com. So I'm taking a private label business, e-commerce, selling physical products on Amazon as an example. So that would be your objective in this case. So this is pretty clear, like, become the best-selling brand in our niche on Amazon.com, right? So obviously we've got to define what this means, like how we're going to accomplish this here with the key results. But overall, big goal, this is it. And this is what? So this is what we want to actually accomplish as an objective. And this could be, let's say in this case it's for the year. So we're setting the yearly OKRs right now. So for the year we want to accomplish this objective. So we've written that out. So let's just start with 1, and I'll show you the other one later, just to keep it simple. So start with 1. So that's step number 3 here in this process of writing or setting up your objectives and key results. Now step 4 is to identify 1 to 5 key results that cause each objective to be completed and define the measurement. So what does this mean? Well, for each objective that we selected, so usually you would start by just writing again the objectives. You really think about what you want to achieve and accomplish in the next year or the next quarter with the business, and then you write that, just those sentences. And you really should think about these sentences, because the way you put it and frame it can change the meaning of it quite significantly. So it's important to put a lot of time and effort into even like one sentence. It's that important here. But then you need to understand and identify what are the key results that you need to accomplish. So now we get more granular, more data driven. So what are the key results that have to happen for us to actually complete the objective? So the way you do this here is that it depends on the objective how many key results you need, but it should be 1 to 5. And the way this works is that if you accomplish each key result that you set, all of them, 100%, then the objective should by default be accomplished too. If you can look at the key results and imagine completing all of them, and then the objective still may not be finished or accomplished, then you're doing it wrong. So the absolute key thing here is that the key results must, when completed, cause the objective to be completed as well. And then you must define the measurement of each key result. So let's start by, let me show you the actual key results. So here we've got the objective, right? Become the best-selling brand in our niche on Amazon.com. And then we set the key results. And in this example, I'm not saying this necessarily means this has been accomplished. I'm just giving you 2 to keep it simple, as an example. But you would really think through, like, what are the key results that mean that this has actually happened? So when you look at this objective, what would have to actually happen in terms of measurable outcomes, measurable results, to have this done for certain. That's what you're doing with the key results. So let's say the first key result is we're going to release 5 new SKUs on Amazon.com. So let's say we're looking at this objective and right now we have 10 SKUs or something. We might think, okay, we need to add some more SKUs if we're going to actually make this happen. And we believe that 5 is definitely going to be enough, right? Maybe we think 3 is enough, but we're going to overshoot it a bit and do 5 just to err on the safe side. You want to hedge your bets a bit on these things because this should definitely cause your objective to be accomplished. And then the second key result might be we're going to generate $1 million in revenue on Amazon.com this year. So these are yearly OKRs. And you think to yourself, when if I do this and we accomplish this, then we're going to be the best-selling brand in our niche on Amazon.com. We believe this is more than any of our competitors are doing. So this is how you really, set KRs that are measurable and definitely cause the objective to become true. So the key with the key results, unlike the objectives, that's more of a kind of like a snappy, sticky sentence that is inspirational usually and just very clear and simple, straight to the point. The key results, the key with them is to make them measurable. So you have to have a data point, like 5, like $1 million, that is measurable, and there's no way anyone can argue about the outcome because it's a number, it's a data point, right? So like this, black and white, you can't argue about the revenue, right? That's what it is. Same if you release 5 SKUs, that's 5 SKUs. If you release 4, that's not 5, and there's no arguing about that. So the key here, and this is what we say here in point 4 is and define. So now we have identified 1 to 5 key results that cause each objective to be completed. But now we need to define the measurement for each one. So we've kind of done it through the writing the key results, but we want to take it a step further and we want to actually define the formula we're going to use. And at the end of the video, if you go and you get my OKR tracker, then you will see how we do this within that tracking sheet. But now I'm going to just explain, right? So the formula usually, so this will be in the sheet, right? It will just usually be like equals and then the definition. So if it's released 5 new SKUs on Amazon.com, then X just stands for how many SKUs we have released, and we just divide it by 5, right? Because that's the goal. And so if it's 0, you've accomplished 0%. If it is 5, you accomplish 100%, right? If it's 2, it's it's about, what is it, like 30 something percent, right? So yeah, if you just if you have this formula like 0 divided by 5 in your tracking sheet, then when you have released 1 new SKU, you will just put in 1 and you will get the percentage, right? 20%. Right, and then 2 will be 40%, 3 will be 60, 4 will be 80, and 5 will be 100%, right? So what you're gonna get is just the percentage. And this will show you just scientifically, totally data-driven, how much of this key result has been accomplished at any given point in time throughout. And this is a yearly OKR, so during the year you can see the progress being made if you're actually making progress on this key R. If you're not, it's going to say 0%, and it's going to be blatantly clear to you that you're not actually making progress on your goal, your objective, right? Now, for this one, this will be, quite simple as well. It's just X being the revenue divided by, 1 million, and you would also just get a percentage, right? So it's skewed here, but this is $0 divided by $1 million, and then as you're making money, if your revenues are building up throughout the year, you get closer and closer to 100%. So that's how that works. So we'll go through the second example later. Let's go through the first one here first, so I can really give you a clear explanation. Now 5 is just to track progress weekly and great result at the end of each quarter/year. So what I like to do is actually track the progress on a weekly basis, because on a weekly basis, private label business on Amazon, we are tracking our KPIs, which I mentioned in another video, so the key performance indicators. And So on a weekly basis, we have like a meeting and a review, like a weekly meeting, and we go through the KPIs, the key performance indicators in the business. They're updated every week. They're on a weekly time frame. And then we also will update the progress made on the OKRs. So we can see if this week we made significant progress or any progress towards any of our OKRs, and if so, how much and things, and how far are we, or how close are we to accomplishing our quarterly and our yearly. So we'll review the quarterly OKRs and the yearly and update just simply with numbers, the formulas, so we can see exactly the progress we're making. So the final step is to track the progress weekly and grade result at the end of each quarter year. So you track it weekly, throughout, and then at the end of each quarter, so when the quarter is finished or the year is finished, so in this case we are looking at yearly OKR. So when the year is finished, I'll show you what we do. We will grade the result at the end of each quarter/year. So the way we grade them, and actually we got this from Google, so we use a very similar system, is depending on the percentage accomplished, it will either get a red grading or a grade, you could call it a red grade, a yellow grade, or a green grade. So if the percentage of progress made is between 0 and 30%, so this is up to 39%, it's red. That's unacceptable. Like, that's a problem. That's an issue. That's not a good thing. If it's between 40 and 60%, so 69%, from 40 up to 69%, we give it a yellow rating. That's actually okay. That can be actually just healthy. It means we really pushed it on the OKR and we've made it quite far, but not, into the green zone yet. It's not really what we want, but it's still acceptable potentially. If the progress is between 70 and 100%, it's green. This means that it's great, it's good. We've made significant progress. And if it's 100%, that's obviously done. Or it should be if you've set the OKRs right. So let's go through this in an example. So, let's say we were able to release 4 SKUs, that's 80%. That would be green. That's not 5, but at least it's close, so that would be a job well done. And if, let's look at this one. Let's say we only generated like 400,000 in revenue. That would give us 40%, and that's bad. That's not acceptable, right? Or actually 390,000, so it's 39%. That's in the red zone, right? So that's a problem, then we were really far off. So that's how it works. Now there's a very important distinction here that I want to point out. Well, actually, so objectives are what, and just to make this clear for you, and the key results are how, right? So the objectives are what you do, the key results are how you do it, just to get that really clear for you. But there's one distinction I want to make now, because let's move into the second example. So, important distinction. There's 2 types of OKRs really, and you want to have a combination of both usually at any given time, both for the quarterly and the yearly OKRs. And the distinction is, what type of OKR is this? So there's 2 types, and the first one is an aspirational OKR. This means, we're kind of shooting for the moon, we're trying to do something big. And it's like a motivational, aspirational OKR. So in this case, this one is about like, doing something big, like becoming the best-selling brand on Audunsson.com. So this one is aspirational. Like, this is an aspirational type of OKR. Wait, aspiration, I don't know. So when it's an aspirational OKR, then then we're actually more okay with like just hitting the yellow zone, so like between 40 to 69% for aspirational OKRs, that's okay. That's kind of what we expect to happen. So we set them, we give it a really big push, we give it a really big objective, like a really aspirational objective that we could accomplish, but most likely, we are sort of in the yellow zone. We're gonna get 50% of the way there or so. And that's kind of to be expected. Now, if we're below that and we're in the red zone, that's poor. We thought we could do better than that. Like, so that's an issue. Like the team or you didn't perform as well as you honestly thought you could. But if it's in the green zone with an aspirational OKR, now that's starting to get really good. And you can really like congratulate yourself for the team, reward them for a job really well done, because you really pushed it and you've really done a great job, right? So 100% would be extremely rare on an aspirational OKR, and that would actually be a sign that you probably set it too low because you made it 100% of the way there, right? So this is how you do it, because you want the OKRs to be, it's like setting goals, and it's beneficial to set goals that are kind of a bit too high or like aspirational, because then you're really pushing it. But you want to find the right balance. So the OKRs, each time you set them and you review them, you get a good understanding of how in tune with the business you actually are. And over time you get more and more in tune with it, and you set more accurate OKRs. Because if you're like in the red zone all the time, then you're being unrealistic. Like you're thinking that you can do things that are just not possible at this time with your team and things, your current situation. But if you're always in the green zone, then you're probably being too timid. You think you can do less than you actually could potentially do. So hopefully that makes sense. Now let's move on to the second example. So this OKR is actually a committed. So this is the other type of OKR. We call this one a committed OKR. So this means that this must happen. This is like a do or die kind of OKR. It's not really aspirational, like dreaming big. It's just, this must happen kind of thing. Usually that's more to do with like, sort of like playing defense or protecting the business or making sure something is, is done right or something like that. So this one, in this case, there's like some variables kind of outside your control maybe. It's, even if you work at 100%, it's not totally certain you'll make this happen. But this one is like, if you work at 100%, you will make it happen. There's nothing stopping you. Like nothing is outside your control. It's 100% within your own control to do this. So that's the difference between aspirational and committed OKRs. So this one is to maintain spotless product quality. So again, the example is a private label business, e-commerce, selling the products on Amazon. And we want to make sure that this year we don't have any major quality issues with our products. They're all basically as good as it gets in terms of quality. And that's something that is a committed OKR, because you can make it happen. I mean, there's no real reason you can't make that happen. That's in your own control. If you do things right, if you do certain things, you put certain things in place. So how would we make that happen? Now here's an example. I'm not saying again this is complete, but there's two key results that would contribute to this, and actually there might be enough, would be, the first one is the order defect rate is below 0.1%. So if less than 1 out of 100 products that we sell have complaints when it comes to quality or any defects, I mean, that's a good sign. In our type of business, that's actually pretty good. So that's within a normal range. We couldn't expect it to be just 0%, but if it's below that, then we've done a good job. As an example, depends on the product, what would be acceptable, but just as an example, let's say that's the scenario in our case. And the second key result here is to implement purchase agreements with an inspection, like a product quality inspection, for all 15 SKUs that we have in the business. So this is something we can do. It's under our own control. We can definitely make that happen if we just do the work. So that could be the second KR, right? And so when you've got these two, you might believe, again, this is an example. I'm not saying this is complete, but you might, as an example, believe that if you accomplish this, then this will definitely be true. So how do we measure these KRs, these key results? Well, for the first one, order defect rate below 0.1%, we would do, and let me explain this to you. This is kind of important, right? So in these, we're actually looking to, reach this or go above it. In this case, we actually want to be below this one. So it's in reverse. So that's why we write the formula here in reverse. So our target is to be below 0.1%. So now we take 0.1 and just divide it by the actual result. And this will give us a percentage. So we always get a percentage. That's how I like to set them up. So it's always a percentage of progress made towards 100%. So in this case, if we are above 0.1%, we're not going to have 100%. If we are below 0.1%, we're going to have 100%. So that's why we set it up like this. The second one is implement purchase agreement with inspection for all 15 SKUs. So the data point we have, you notice we have data points in each key result we have set. So we can measure it objectively, scientifically. So we've got 15 SKUs, right? So now we want to be at 15 SKUs or above, or we want to implement this for 15 SKUs or more. So the target comes first, X, we divide it by 15. And this will give us a percentage. So that's how it works, and that's how we will be able to track it. So let's say we implement it for 2 SKUs, we can put in 2, and we've made progress. So we're not at 0%. We've made progress towards completing this key result. And again, if both are at 100%, this should be accomplished. That's how it works. So yeah, I think that's it. And again, so we'll track the progress on a weekly basis, and at the end of the quarter or the year, depending on if this is a quarterly OKR or a yearly OKR, we're going to grade the result based on these parameters. 0% to 39% is red, not good, bad. 40% to 69% yellow for an aspirational OKR. That's actually pretty normal. That's acceptable potentially. That's kind of what we expected. It's not good or bad, it's just, okay. For a committed OKR, both red and yellow are not acceptable. It should be 100%, at least 90% plus. So if the percentage for each key result is 70 to 100%, then it's green. So that's extremely good for an aspirational OKR. That's what we expect for a committed OKR, and it should really be 100%. And then there's one more thing we do, which is, and this is in the OKR tracker that I'm going to give to you here at the end of the video. So this will all be set up for you. You can just plug in the numbers and plug in your actual OKRs and then use the tool. But basically what we're going to do here for the O, the objective, is we're going to have a percentage here that is taking both of these key results into account. So if there's only 2, if they're both at 100%, the percentage for the objective is going to be 100% as well. If this one is at 0% and this one is 100%, the percentage progress made towards the actual objective is 50%, right? So we're tracking the progress made on the key result level, and that then tells us the progress made on the objective level. And again, if the key results are 100%, the objective will be 100% and it will be accomplished, or it should be if you've written these correctly. The key is really in how you write these. You have to write them correctly so that this system actually works. And when you do it, it's extremely powerful. It's just totally objective and totally clear. And because you use this every single week with yourself or with your team, then you can tell if you're actually following your plan, you're sticking to what you identify as the most important objective and set of objectives for your business. So it will be black and white, totally clear whether or not you're doing the work or the team is on track, focused, doing the work. So that's why it's so powerful. So yeah, this one would have a percentage as well. Now the final thing I actually want to mention is team. So you can do this for yourself, really, or if you're a solopreneur with your own business, doing all the work, you can do this. And so there's no team really. But if you have a team, and now I'm really talking like 10, 20 people, most likely, then you would definitely have more than one set of OKRs. Because you can have one set of OKRs for the business, and then you're a couple of people working on it together. But most likely, each person would want to set their own. But especially when you have a team of like 10, 20 plus, and above, then you want to actually have team-based OKRs as well. So the way that works is you have your OKRs on the overall business level, and then you cascade the actual work down, right? So let's say for this one, this is a combination of, like, let's say your advertising team, if you have one, is kind of driving the revenues. Then you've got your product development, supply chain team kind of driving this one. So now you can cascade and you can attach responsibility. So let's say, take this one. So let's say you put your product development manager, if you have one, as the person with the team responsible for this one. So then he would take ownership of that one, and then based on this KR, this would kind of become like an objective for him and his team, and then he could create more key results that need to happen to make that big key result for the company accomplished, because there's going to be activities and things beneath this one to actually make it happen. So that's really how it works. That's how you can cascade OKRs across the organization into the different departments and teams, and then even each person on the team can then create their own OKRs based on what they need to accomplish to drive the OKRs for their team, and then ultimately the OKRs for the entire business. So it's a beautiful system, it's extremely powerful, and again, it gives you the power of clarity and data and focus and ability to delegate with accountability, objective progress, so you can just really have effective, efficient communication around what needs to happen. You can communicate to your team what the business needs to do, what we want to do in the business. Then team members can communicate that to managers to their own teams, the teams to the individuals, and etc. Right? So that's OKRs. We covered everything, and hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely like the video to let me know. I would really appreciate it. And if you have any questions or comments on the video, then you can comment below and let me know what you think. Or again, if you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. And if you got a lot of value from the video and it's been helpful, then I would encourage you to share it with your friends and teammates or other people you think would benefit. And final thing, if you did enjoy this video, you want more videos like this on fundamental business concepts, fundamental things that actually work in business and help you be successful, then subscribe to my channel here and click the bell to make sure you get notified when I release new videos like this, because I do cover different business topics on a regular basis. So you want to be notified if you like this type of content and this kind of training. So that's it. The final thing is really the free gift I'm giving you. Again, no strings attached, totally for free. You can use it now. Just click the link below this video and you can access my OKR tracker on Google Drive. You can download it and use it in Excel, or you can click File, make a copy, save a copy on your Google Drive, and then use the OKR tracker there. And side note, Google uses OKRs in their business as well. So again, this is a fantastic resource. It's worth its value in gold now that you've got this training, and there's actually more training within the tracker too on how to use the tracker, how to set it up. So you've got everything now to actually go ahead and use OKRs. So again, I hope this has been helpful, and thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.